Let's begin our exploration of what is included in income for the taxpayer from employment. I'm going to pay very close attention to some of the language. You'll notice that in this section, which is amounts to be included as income from office or employment, it starts by saying there shall be included. And that word signifies that there is no option about this. This is a command. This will be done. So there shall be included in computing the income of a taxpayer for a taxation year as income from office or employment. Now, for our purposes, we're going to continue to talk about employment income. For the Income Tax Act, the two terms are synonymous. And it says that we're going to include such of the following amounts as are applicable. And it starts with value of benefits. And it says the value of benefits of any kind received, enjoyed by the taxpayer or by a person who does not deal at arm's length with the taxpayer in the year, in respect of, in the course of, by virtue of the taxpayer's office or employment. Well, that's really all-encompassing language. It basically says that if you receive anything from your employer, or because you're an employee, it must be included in income from employment. Now, we see that there are some exceptions. We'll deal with those briefly, but I want you to remember how all-encompassing this language is. If you can't find an exception, either in the Income Tax Act, or we'll briefly explore some of the things that are not captured as benefits just because, and we'll talk about those separately. But if you can't find it in the Income Tax Act, then your default position should be if they received it, if the taxpayer received it from their employer or because they worked for that employer, then it must be included in income. Notice as well that it includes things that are received by persons who do not deal at arm's length with the taxpayer. This means that if the taxpayer who works for Company A receives their salary and the employer gives that person's spouse some money or a benefit, that will be included in the taxpayer's income from employment. I think we should just talk a little bit about by virtue of, and that means that any benefit that you received because you worked for that company, even if it wasn't received from that employer, those items will also be included in income of the taxpayer. So if an employee works for, well, let's say Best Buy, wins Employee of the Year, Salesperson of the Year, and Sony TV gives them a TV as a prize for being Salesperson of the Year. Now, the prize came from Sony, not from Best Buy. But because the employee was able to win that prize because they worked for Best Buy, then it gets included in their income from employment from Best Buy. Oh, the Income Tax Act is going to get their pound of flesh.